everyone, this is Brady, and in this video we will go over how to set up a new component in LabWizard. We will need to get to the setup screen, then select the process and station that we will be adding our component to. We will then select New Component to selected station. In the new window, we will need to set the name of the component. This cannot be changed once this window is closed. Everything else in this window can be updated in the future. For our example, the component will be sodium hydroxide. The analysis for each component can be triggered by product throughput, time, both product throughput and time, or none. None can be used for components that are only used during a makeup of a new station, or that are added by another component's analysis. If none is selected, then there will be no option for doing an analysis on this component. For this video, we will select time. The time is based on the work schedule for the process, so for this component, we will set it to 10 hours, because this process is scheduled to run for 10 hours Monday through Friday, so this will set LabWizard to trigger an analysis once each workday. The fields in the units section are what will be printed in the history screens or on the add and makeup sheets. So these should be units that make sense for your facility and for this component. For this example, we will set the bath concentration to grams per liter. This analysis will be done by titration, so we will set the units for analysis to milliliters. We will set the units for adds to milliliters, and the units for new bath makeup to liters. Since the add units are in milliliters, we will set the add precision to have no decimal places. For this component, we do not want to make adds that are less than 500 milliliters, so we will set the add threshold to 500 since the units are already in milliliters. The makeups do not need to be very precise, so we will set the makeup precision to have no decimal places as well. For the concentration constant, LabWizard will take the value the user enters for the milliliters used in the analysis and multiply that number by this constant to calculate the concentration of the component. So we will need to calculate what the constant needs to be in order to convert from milliliters of the titrant to grams per liter of sodium hydroxide in the station. I have the formula already typed out for this example, but your numbers will likely be different. Usually you are able to find this formula from the tech data sheet provided by your chemical supplier. For this example, we are titrating with 0.1 normal hydrochloric acid. The tech data sheet for this station says to then multiply that concentration of hydrochloric acid times 8, and then multiply that number by the milliliters of the titrant to get the grams per liter of sodium hydroxide in the station. So our concentration constant is 0.8. So we will enter that into LabWizard for the concentration constant. The add constant will need to be calculated in a similar fashion. If the concentration of the component is less than the target value for the component, then LabWizard will take the difference of those two values and multiply the result by the add constant. So the add constant will again have to include any unit conversions necessary. For our example, the tech data sheet tells us that to increase the concentration by 1 gram per liter, we need to add 11 milliliters per gallon in the station. So because we are tracking the concentration in grams per liter and making adds in milliliters, we do not need any additional unit conversions. So our add constant is just 11 times the tank volume in gallons. For this example, the tank is 100 gallons, so the add constant is 1,100. So we will enter that into the LabWizard for the add constant. The amount for the new bath makeup is simply the quantity of the component in the units listed above for every new makeup. For example, we will set this to 7 liters. The spec limits are where you set the range of concentrations for the component. LabWizard will trigger an out of spec warning whenever the concentration falls below the lower spec limit or above the upper spec limit. Usually these are set to values that are so far from the target, the product should not be run through the station if the component is outside of that range. Often these values are also taken from the tech datasheet. For example, the lower spec limit will be set to 6 grams per liter, and the upper spec limit will be set to 8 grams per liter. The target value is what LabWizard will aim for bringing the concentration to whenever it issues adds. For us, that will be 7 grams per liter. Now that we have the numbers entered for our spec window and our constants, there is a test calculation button so that we can make sure our values are correct. However, LabWizard needs to save the data before we can use this feature, so we will click on OK to save what we have so far. Then we will select our component and go to Modify Attributes of Selected Component, and now we will be able to use our test calculation button. In the new window, we will enter a test value. We enter 8.4 and then click somewhere in the window to update the numbers. You'll see that the concentration is 6.72 grams per liter. The add amount is 0 milliliters. That is because the add amount is less than the add threshold, which we can see is set to 500 milliliters. So let's try entering 8 milliliters for our test value. We'll click again to update. We'll see that now our concentration is 6.4 grams per liter and that the add amount is 660 milliliters. These are the numbers that we expect, so we know that our calculations are correct. The last option that we will mention for this video is the analysis procedure, and that can be updated here. Some facilities may enter the step-by-step directions for doing the analysis for this component. Others may simply direct users to an official procedure for their facility. Click Done to save any changes to the analysis procedure, and then click OK to save any changes to the component. And finally, we will go to File, Save and Exit to make sure that all of our changes are saved. And now if we have our process and our station selected, then we can see our new component added. If we make sure that the upcoming events option is selected, then we can see that the analysis for the new component will be due in just under 10 hours. And that is how you set up a new component in LabWizard. Look for future videos where we will look at other options we did not cover in this video. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.